Hey, please like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. It's a great podcast, and I guarantee you're going to have a great time watching this. Thank you.
For 400.
Okay.
My guy.
All right. Back like we stole something. You guys are good again. Okay.
Thank you very
All
much.
around,
You,
drinks all
I
around.
be
you guys
trying, I
are
be trying.
wonderful.
We'll tap into some different topics today.
My PPE money, it's still rolling.
The PPEs. Don't play with that. Don't play with the PPEs. They coming from people with the PPEs, boy. All right. First topic. No autographs. All right. Celebrity expectations. I'm gonna hit you with this one, Mike. Talk to me.
All right. What's the first question? Who got it?
Are celebrities role models? What should we expect from them?
Celebrities, in my opinion, I don't believe celebrities are role models unless their intention is to be role models. And what I mean by that is that generally we expect somebody who is very skilled at a particular craft to carry that same skill onto other subjects. So if somebody is a great basketball player, I personally don't want to hear from them on social issues. If somebody is a musician, I'm not necessarily concerned with putting them in front of a microphone for major issues in our community. So if somebody takes a stance saying that they want to be a role model, and if their direction is to actually challenge kids or challenge their community to be better people, and their intention is to be a role model, then I'll give them that courtesy. But I don't think we should hold celebrities to a particular standard if it's outside of their craft.
What do you think about that, Stu? Talk to me.
I think a little bit different. Once you become a public figure, you know that whatever you bring into the table, people are looking at it in a certain way. So if you're an entertainer, movie star, basketball player, you have the attention of many, and not just the older people, the younger children as well. So you have to be mindful how you maneuver and what you do at that. And when you said you don't expect them to be able to talk about politics and public stuff, like I think that they should, because they may have been once us, and that's maybe why you may even like them, because they come from the trenches from where you come from. So if they come from where you come from, now we get to this bigger platform. Don't forget about the people that you once lived with or you once played basketball with. Your friends and your family members are still there. You can't forget them. So you have to, at a certain point when you do get to that place in life, and be like, all right, cool. I may not want to be all in with politics, but still I want to sit there and give back to the community. And I'm not saying you have to give back money, but I want to be a part of certain initiatives and
Because you have
charities.
the platform.
Yes, because you have the platform and certain charities to give back. So you can say, hey, look, this is something I want to do for my community and the people that came up in the like list of me. I want to give back to them, because you get to that place and you make, how you gonna help another millionaire?
But is that their choice, or should it be expected of them?
I believe it should be expected of them. You-
That's deep. What you got on that, B? Talk to me.
Expected. Why do you think he should be expected?
I feel like if you want to get to a certain level, you should give back. And I'm not saying give back as far as money. And I said it don't have to be money.
But in terms of role models,
And
what's the expectation for them as role models?
You have to. That's a hard question to say, and expectation as role models, because at the end of the day, no one's perfect. I'm not expecting perfection, but what I do expect, if you out here and you have this stage and you have a platform bigger than anybody else does. Some athletes and entertainers have a bigger stage than politicians. You understand? So you could draw from over here. Maybe a politician may not be able to get to. So if you have that, why not use what you have?
But I'll tackle that. So the question is, should they be role? What should we expect from them, right? They are role models, right? That's a fact. That we can't take that away from
Right.
a basketball player or a celebrity, any kind of entertainer. Should they be? The question is no. Only because you have a situation where, all right, what do they do besides their craft that makes them a role model? Like the things that we do on our every day-to-day basis, what function do they? A basketball player who learns how to play basketball every day, if he never studied politics or he never studied what's going on in a neighborhood, like LeBron James, realistically, even though he is a role model, he's been sheltered his whole life. What does he know about politics?
When I think of this question initially, my first inclination is to go to Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley played basketball, all-star, dream team, everything. But when Charles Barkley takes off that basketball uniform, he's going to a casino, he's gambling, he's drinking, getting pulled over by the cops. So if you're saying that this man should not be himself outside of his profession because your children are watching, or somebody's going to see him on the news, and what are the kids going to say that look up to him? I don't think that should be put on him as an onus.
But you get
Now-
paid
I
for that
don't
though.
think.
Yeah,
But you get,
I don't
but you
think
get
it should
paid for
have
that.
to be.
You get paid for that.
I got a
Get paid for
rebuttal.
what?
You get paid for being a role model.
Yeah, but I
you think
gotta-
that 12 million? You think
But it's
like-
not to be a role model; it's to be a basketball.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You're not getting paid to play basketball because then you would
Yes,
just
you
get the
are.
revenue. No, because then you would just get the revenue.
So let me ask you this: if we take Charles Barkley away from basketball, who is he to us?
No, nobody. But in the role that he's getting, they don't pay you strictly from the revenue that comes from basketball. You also get sneaker endorsements because they realize that the young kid Timmy will wear those sneakers if Charles Barkley wears them.
But that
They'll
doesn't
put you
make
on the
you a
cereal.
role model.
At that moment, it does.
Makes you an
Once you-
advertisement.
No, once you accept that check, you're taking on that role.
No.
Yeah.
I think when you accept the check, then you're accepting a job.
You're not
I do think it's
And there's
in
expectations
part-
to that job. And
Yeah.
To sell
expectations.
sneakers.
Yeah, but if I'm selling a sneaker, I can't come out here and start dropping N-bombs and start saying making crazy quotes because at the end of the day, then I won't have an endorsement anymore. So there's a standard that I must keep.
But that's you again as an endorsee, not necessarily a role model to younger generation. It could be you endorsing this for 40-year-olds. You could be endorsing what is
Could be
endorsing?
could be and
pain medicine or whatever.
could be and is two different things. When people are selling sneakers, when they come out with the Barclays wasn't made for my pops.
So does that make every millionaire a role model because they all getting paid?
No,
substantial
No,
amounts of
no,
it's
money?
if you're in the entertainment and you providing a service that people are watching. If people are
Most
watching you,
celebrities.
most celebrities, but then you have people that's behind the executive producers. Do you know them?
No,
You
absolutely
don't. So,
not.
but you know who you see on TV.
But
And
they're
they
not
also-
my
You
role
know,
models.
I'm not
But
saying
they, but they
you're
also
wrong.
don't get paid.
Hey,
They also don't get paid an added fee to be that thing. I get what you're saying. You get a check. They give you, hey, Stu, here goes a check for $10 million to play basketball, right? Now you're saying the NBA is saying, I'm paying. There's a lot of players that people who don't watch basketball don't know. You get paid a certain amount. When you start going out that realm and they say you have a signature shoe, you have a cereal, you have a cartoon, you're involved in all these different things. Now the expectations are you is to uphold a certain thing. So whether
But
it's Go ahead.
that shouldn't be expected. I don't believe it should be expected. I don't believe it should be expected of a celebrity in general because I know I keep feeling like we're talking about sports, right?
Yeah, no.
But we're talking about celebrities in general.
Right.
So they are paid to be more than just whatever that craft is, more than just an actor. You're paid to be an influencer of sorts, right?
Wolverine.
But it's at the direction of the company that pays you. And in that case, you have to always understand that I am saying the words that X company allows me to say.
Yeah.
So I can go gamble because that's off. But always understand that these celebrities are paid in order to not push a narrative, that sounds mean. But I mean, like, they are paid. If they go away from the company separates themselves from them.
Right.
Because we have an agenda. So essentially, it's not, the company is the role model and the celebrity is just
The
the
face.
is the face
Okay, so
of
that's
that
different.
idea.
And can I say one thing before we leave, right? Off this topic. You said that, he's gambling, he's getting pulled over
That's
police.
just one
But
specific.
yeah, I'm just saying, but at the end of the day, if you get to a certain point in your life, you should be mindful of what you're doing. Because whatever you're doing that's affording you to do those things, to buy that nice car, to drive 150 miles an hour, you could easily get that taken away from you if you go down the wrong road.
Because those
But
stuff,
he's not concerned with what little kids are looking at.
you have to be
but
because
you
you
be
get paid
concerned
for
about
that.
yourself, though.
Yeah, again, you're not. I don't think you're paid for that. It's expected of you, but you're not getting a contract saying, "Listen, we want you to play basketball, stay healthy, and be a role model to kids." That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
It
you
is.
are.
though.
Yeah, you
You
are.
are.
You
That's
are.
not in the contract.
Because
I'm telling you,
I
It
tell
is.
you
It's
what,
unspoken.
I tell you
that's
what.
unspoken. It's not in the contract.
I'll tell you what. It's the same thing as like
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to say. What's this? What's these movies I hate? Sorry, guys, you might hate me for this one. What's the DC movies? All these Marvel stuff.
Yeah,
The
Yeah, this
Avengers.
stuff. You think any of those guys could go outside and behave a certain way? Once you become the new Batman, if you're the new Batman whenever the series
DC
comes,
though.
that's DC. All right,
Yeah,
see,
that's
yeah,
DC.
right. Help me out, yeah, right. If you're the new Batman or you're the new Superman, for whatever reason, you have to behave a certain way. You just can't be out here. Oh, the new Batman was out here drinking, or Scarlett Johansson's out here butt naked on the street, if she's what's the other, the Avengers, if she's
Black
an
Widow.
Avenger, the Black Widow, she's the Black Widow. You know what I mean? You have to behave a certain way. Everybody that's assigned to those different things, they have to behave a certain way. If not, you're gonna get cut because you can't be out here drinking again. Like Stu said a minute ago, you could do those things, but then you could not have that same Aston Martin or whatever
There's
it is that you're.
consequences to everything, but I don't think you should move. Well, I'm gonna say I don't think that there should be an expectation for them to move any different than us as role models, as fathers, as men of our community. We should all still move the same way and have the expectation of them that we have on ourselves.
No. More money, more problems, brother.
I'm saying in terms of role
do
models,
you mean?
we influence kids.
Huh?
What's wrong with that point?
You have more money, you have to have your expectations of you are higher,
Yeah.
right? Like if you have more money, then you not just got to pay your landlord. Now you have a house, right? So now if you have a house, you
No,
got to
but
take
if
care
I-
of stuff in your house.
But if I earn my money off of my work and my work alone and not my role model,
You will make
aspect-
no more. You will make no more going forward.
Okay. What I'm saying is this: if I use my talent, whatever that talent may be, in order to procure that money, yeah, okay, we could stop that then because I no longer am in a line with the company.
Yeah, but
so
then,
that's fair.
So we can stop then, and then you're no longer. Then that's.
Let me just throw out a word or a title. Kodak Black, is he a role model?
Yeah.
No. He unfortunately he is to a degree, but he's not because companies are also not paying him to do things besides rap.
Oh, I don't know if that's true. He could get some endorsements off. He could. I mean, everything.
not
Everybody's
widespread.
making money hand over fist on.
But
on
what-
live.
Behind closed scenes, or I tell you this.
Kids
So like
buy this music more than any adult.
yes,
But that doesn't mean.
But a
That's,
brand-
all right, let me put you like
But is
this.
he a role model?
But listen,
That's
I'm
what
gonna
I'm
say.
asking, is he a
Let me say
role
this.
model?
You got
There's
NBA YoungBoy.
expectations
You got
difference.
NBA YoungBoy, right? All the kids love him. Is he playing on the radio like that?
To me, I don't listen to that.
All right, but I'm
I'ma say-
gonna tell
but
you
they also
no.
not
say no,
they
I'm
also
saying
not
no.
giving him Nike endorsements and
Endorsements,
stuff
he's not-
like
Is he a
that.
role model though? All the kids are buying his music.
Because he's doing that.
The
he's
answer to
doing-
that question, I'm sorry, I'll answer that question. The answer is yes, but should he be? No.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And I don't think the label that he signed to expects that of him. Hence, they don't give him additional checks and hold him in that standard.
I'm not
So when he
saying
gets
that-
arrested, if he gets arrested, like Kodak Black, he gets arrested, the label's like, not like, oh, Kodak, we're gonna dock you. Like,
I'm
no,
not
we
saying-
expect
yeah,
that from
I
you because
think
that's
we're taking the
lifestyle.
same angle. I'm not saying that they are not role. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there shouldn't be role models. I
Oh,
know
they
that
should-
they are because anybody that's a public figure, anybody that's got 10,000 followers or better, they're a role model.
Yeah.
People are looking at you, whether they be young kids, adults, or people that aspire to be in that same lane. You're a role model. But should we look at them as role models? That's my argument.
I'm gonna twist this a little bit. I'm gonna just tap on this. I'm not gonna go too far into it. But if you had to choose one celebrity, male or female, to raise your child, who would that be and why?
There's no way.
No
Come
way?
back to you.
There's
Go ahead.
absolutely no way.
We gotta pick one.
All right, I will.
Well, for me, I would say prime time.
Deion Sanders?
Deion Sanders. I watch him ever since we was kids. Not saying that he was a perfect person, he lived a perfect life, but you could tell from.
You
his
remind me of
gene-
Prime Time. You act like Prime
Oh,
Time.
here we go.
You do.
I'm still.
Yeah, Prime Stu. The clean uniform at the end of the 48-minute game.
But you could tell from watching him and the kids that he's associated with that he's a genuine person and he really cares for the kids and he's really trying to make a change and better their lives. So for me personally, I look at that more than less just who he is as a person, but the lives that he's changing around him. So with that being said, I say him. You know what I mean? He make a change in all these kids' lives.
What do you got, Mike?
I like that. Same thing. As a father, I'm looking at a father figure, somebody that I would trust or anticipate trusting, and my expectation would be that J. Cole would be a dope dad. Only reason I say that
That's
is
left
because
field. Wow.
he's super humble, hard-working person, very smart, educated, and his family is not in the limelight. And if I personally had somebody to raise my child, I wouldn't want my child to be raised as a celebrity child or to be out there with the expectations of living up to your celebrity parent. But I think that that's somebody who is very well versed in his craft, is actually talented, and again, humility. Humility is a big factor for me because I think that with all of that money, like we were talking about, comes expectation, and that's somebody who carries himself, in my eyes, the way I would if I was famous.
Okay.
Yourself, what you got? Who raising your children?
You know what's funny? After watching the documentary with Jordan, I would say Michael Jordan. I just feel like he got savage ways. Like he not gonna accept anything but being great. I think that he just had that hunger for, like, in the documentary series when they lost to Orlando. My man, a whole summer, that's his whole mind is like, I'm beating Shaq and Penny the next year. That's the type of stuff I feel like you want to instill in your kid, like to have that drive to never give up. I feel like he had that. And even though people thought he was an asshole on the episode, people were like, yeah, he cursed me out, he punched me in practice. I'm like,
You got
probably
6
deserved
rings,
it. Yeah,
man.
you got 6 rings. You
6
probably
rings,
deserved it.
6 rings. You know, I'm out there.
Real quick before we move on, his children, there was an unrealistic expectation on his sons
Yes,
because of who he was as a celebrity.
that's true.
Is that fair on them in the reverse?
No, but I mean, if your father's the greatest
That's
basketball
why-
player ever,
Yeah.
And that's how I came up with my answer. I'm gonna go with Derek Grace, the guy with all the face tattoos and the dreads. His kids know how to load a gun faster than anything. I never saw them answer more questions than
They're
anything.
educated, very well
By
educated
off the
children.
who is
kids.
he? Wait, real quick, educate me on him. Who is he?
He's
He's-
a social media
Yeah,
personality. But
You
his
probably
children
seen him
are
with a
homeschooled.
life-size
Oh,
head of
the heavy set
Nipsey
dude with the
Hussle.
dreads?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
right.
Tattoos and his children.
Yeah, his kids is way too
educated.
knowledgeable. So if I'm gonna do it, if I gotta
All right.
load them up.
Just make that
We'll swap out, we'll swap out of there. We'll swap out of that one. All right, guys. The next topic. I like that one. That one rolled really well.
I like your ad lib beat. That was nice.
You like that? You got a drum roll right into the next one. Don't tell me who to vote for. All right? Environmental impact on political affiliation. All right? I'll throw this one out there originally. I feel like as a kid in our neighborhoods, we grow up, we don't really care too much about politics because we're all in the parks and learning how to meet girls or boys or whatever you're into, or just living our life. And at some point, you know, things start impacting you. The free lunch, the type of school you go to, the type of teachers you have, these things start impacting you. You still don't think about it. You just go through life until we get old enough and they say, you're 18 and you got to vote. In urban areas, especially where we grow up, now the thought is you're a Democrat. You grow up in more Caucasian neighborhoods or certain neighborhoods, the thought is that you vote Republican or conservative. But when you get older, it's not like you can switch, right? But you meet different people. No, you can. But when you start meeting different people at your jobs or you start living a life, you start paying actual taxes, at point when you say, hey, I don't want to be a Democrat no more, I want to be a Republican or conservative, now you have a problem. Now there's a problem in your community. You don't get along with your community and you can kind of get exiled. To the example I'll give really quick was, not saying that we can't look at the end result, I'm talking about when it was happening. When Donald Trump ran for president, when he was running for president, prior to that, everybody in the hip hop community loved him. You know, everybody wanted to be like, Rick Ross got songs, I want to be like Donald Trump. The moment he started running for president and people decided to like him, it had to be a secret. If you wanted to vote Republican or conservative in a Democratic neighborhood. I don't know what the experience was on the flip side for people who were on the other end, but I know from my angle, I am conservative, I vote conservative, but being a conservative, having to have that mentality, it was shunned.
Yeah, I could touch a little bit on that because, firstly, I think that there is a lack of education in terms of politics as a whole. Like you said, there is a potential stigma that if you're from a less affluent neighborhood or a hood, for lack of a better term, then you're expected to vote Democrat because the Democrats are on your side. That's the story we've been all pitched
Pretty
growing
much.
up. And until you educate yourself on at least two parties, if not a lot more, you'll never have an understanding of what either is offering you. And I realized that as I started to come into money and started to be around folks that particularly cared about their money and investments, I realized, shit, I think I'm Republican. I think I would vote Republican on these stances. Now, I understand what Democrats take on certain stances, but overall, where I want to be in life, I think that I would likely lean more towards Republican based on findings and based on the education that I've actually offered myself. Because if you talk to anybody else that's Republican, what the hell you doing? Why? But at the same time, they don't have an argument for why you shouldn't be. Right. It's just the same stigma knowing that we grew up, everybody should be.
Yeah, like a turncoat all of a sudden.
But I don't feel like
Democratic.
it was an actual identity. I never really identified with a party. I just didn't care about politics until I did. And then when I did, I started paying attention to everybody. And like, yeah, I don't think I gravitate towards anything in particular when it comes to political parties. And like, I have to pick a winner, right? So you try your best to who's done what in order to put them in position. But I don't think I've ever really classified with an identity of like Democratic or Republican. Like okay, what exactly makes the difference between a Democrat and a Republican other than conversations? There's votes that happen.
I could say the difference.
It's basic ideology, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's one, Democrats pretty much just give to the poor, and then we circulate the money from down to give it.
It's
out.
not so. It's not so. It's not so.
And then the Republicans like up top circulated down. So it's in reverse. Or it's pretty much like this: you give it to us, not us. Now I can't say us no more because I'm in a different place in my life. But when I was where I was, you give the money down here, and then you send it and you make it up top. Now for Republicans, it's like, nah, we want to keep the money, control it, and then send it down.
Yeah, but what exactly does that?
Tax bracket.
Where
Your tax bracket now is
But I think it's a little deeper than that too. I'm sorry. I think it's a little deeper than that too. I think sometimes when you're talking about Democrat, Republican, the Democrat is more government involved in your stuff. Government involved in they're responsible for your education, responsible for these things. It's more independent. That's why I don't vote Republican or Democrat. I vote conservative. My ideologies are conservative. I'm not attached to a person or a party. I believe that if you tell me Stu comes home traditionally and says that we cook dinner at 6 o'clock, we cook dinner at 6 o'clock. Somebody goes, why can't we eat dinner at 12 o'clock? Because that's lunch. It's lunch. It's not dinner. But that's the ideas that come across more, and not knocking it. I'm just saying that's what comes across in more liberal thoughts, which is not bad. But now we've come
You just gotta be on time to eat vegan dinners too. That doesn't change anything.
But let me say something to you. What you said your earlier statement. You was like when people were supporting Trump, or if they did it in secrecy. I don't think it was a problem until his rhetoric came out that people started.
That's not true.
For me personally, what I've seen, I'm just saying for me that you have your personal belief. People did mess with. You can hear Mike Tyson, Jim Brown, and all these people that came out.
Not when he was running. We just got finished listening to YG and Nipsey.
When he came out, his first candidacy, when he first came out, when he won, Jim Brown, all these people coming to talk to him, Kanye West, all these people. I think what changed the point for him was his rhetoric and how he spoke and what he said during the campaign trail. Now, if he would have kept a better campaign trail and used different words and acted a certain way, I think people would have been more acceptable to liking him than that. And then two, let me say this again, right now. This is my point on the whole. Like you said, I'm not Republican, Democrat, conservative. I'm for whoever has the best plan for me and my tax bracket. You understand? I'm paying $10,000 a year on a house and property tax. I want to know if you want to send my joint up, you going to keep it the same, or I got to, you know what I mean, or take it low.
That's what it should be.
Like that's for me personally. That's how I feel. I'm only worried about, I'm not where we were before when we was younger. Like I said, before we trying to figure out like, won't the government give us some better this and better that? But I don't work my way out of that pocket. So if I work my way out of that pocket, now I'm in a different pocket. I don't have those same concerns.
That's the topic here is when you get that change, because when you're younger, you're just told at 18, Mike, go vote for Obama, right? Now you vote for Obama. I'm just using that as an example. You go vote for Obama at 18. You turn 26, 27. You're in a Wall Street job, or you're working somewhere, or you become a firefighter, right? And the ideas of, like you say, your tax bracket don't fit those same ideologies. And then 6 or 7 years later, now you're like, I don't want to vote for Obama right now.
I think that's where the issue comes in, because the initial question was, does your environment affect? It does, because once your environment changes, or your intention is to change your environment, now you're like that. You're thinking about property taxes as opposed to the entire block, because you're focused on you as an independent person, which you should be as a voter. That's what voting should be. It should be your ideas on your political beliefs on how it will benefit you. Ideally, you could think about your community as a whole, but if you're tying yourself into the community's notion that everybody should vote this color, they essentially make it regional. It's like a football team. If you live in this location, you should vote for the Giants or the Jets. If you live in this location, you should vote for red team
But you don't
A
think
la
that that's
John Kerry or Donald Trump.
that's why I feel like I'd never identify with anything because in our community we didn't care enough to make those like there was no beef over a park and the decision of what to do with it. So there
But
is
that's
no
a false
like
narrative, though.
moments
When you
in
turn 18,
I did was once. It was
no.
once.
When you turn 18,
It was
when you
it
turn
was
18, and they tell you, oh, when your mom takes you to the thing and said, "Biggie, you got to vote." You didn't.
no, but you're
you didn't
not
press the
voting
red.
for nothing in particular. What I'm saying is conversations. It's just conversations. On your day-to-day life, there is nothing that just like, no, I am a conservative. I am a Republican. These
I
are
am now.
Republican decisions.
No, I make.
You take the train with other Democrats who make the same decision to take the train.
No. I'm not saying whether I'm Democrat. I'm saying as an adult, those decisions that are made, like he said, when you talk
But
about finan-
everywhere that you would make a decision as far as where you spend your money, how you spend your time, there are other people there who also don't agree with you, but shop at the same places, eat at the same places, do the same things.
So I'm gonna go to throw this to you really quick because we gotta get off this topic. Does extreme partisanship impact friendships? Extreme liberal, extreme conservative.
Yeah, of course.
How and why? Real quick.
Because this is the point. It's just conversations, and don't start running your conversation out loud for too long. Like it's just
For you
annoying.
in particular, does it damage your friendships or?
No, because I'm not. Why are we doing that to each other?
All right, Stu. How about you? Does extreme partisanship impact your friendships?
It does to an extent of why where you come up with your verdict for picking the sides. I think that's really that bothers me when. a person
picking
is talking-
sides on
No,
what?
But it's the reasoning. I don't care if you want to be this or you want to be that.
Give me a quick example
So
of a
if-
reason why you would stop being friends with somebody.
When they say something like, oh, all the minorities now they get to go get free welfare. I mean, healthcare, and they're gonna flood the doctors, the hospitals. Like to me personally, at the end of the day, if they wasn't going to the doctor before, what make you think they're gonna go to the doctor now? You understand? Like it's just this the thought process behind it, behind you picking and choosing what you know who you voting for and yes what you stand on. Like somebody said at work, like why I gotta pay property tax if my son is no longer going to school, my kids is out of school because when your kid was in school, somebody was paying the property tax for them to go to that school and maintain it.
But how does that?
It's just the logic. I'm a logic person.
Hold on.
That's all I go off. If your logic doesn't make sense to me, as far as that, I gauge where I stand
How about
with
you?
you on where you come from.
Mike,
That's
let me get some of that. Does extreme partisanship impact your friendship?
My personal friendships, I'm gonna say no. Would it? Absolutely. And the only reason I say that is because two things you never discuss is religion and politics. Because they're very divisive. And again, it's hard to make an argument that anybody else is going to readily just say, oh, I agree. Because everybody has a stance. Again, that's like arguing football. If you got a football team, you're not going to tell me that your team is better than my Cowboys. But at the same time, at the same time, if you intend to open your mouth and speak on behalf of a particular party or a particular ideology in any stance, it doesn't necessarily have to be political, you're welcoming yourself to critique, to feedback, to backlash. And if you do that in religion or politics, then you could likely end a friendship. Of no intention, but that's how it can happen. So that's why you never discuss those two things. Unless you're on a podcast 400. Tune in, subscribe.
For me, that one is pretty simple. No, because a lot of my ideas are extreme. Not extreme. My beliefs are. I know they don't line up with regular stuff. I know at the end of the day, if somebody's like, "Oh, we got to give 40 people money in order to get this done," I would be like, I'd rather not give it to anybody. I don't care.
You vote in Yeezy. You vote Yeezy
Yeah.
2024.
No, I wouldn't. I'm just saying, my thing is like, if I voted for somebody and it benefits me or my family or the people that's around me, I'm not concerned with the masses. Is that right? The answer to that is completely no.
Why
So I
is that
would-
no?
It is-
Why?
it is
What's
right.
wrong?
No,
with that?
no, because
answer?
he just said a minute ago, like he talked about the people with the healthcare. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. Like they were talking about Obamacare, right? I personally don't agree with Obamacare. I personally don't, right? I'm not that upset with it besides the fact that when I look at my check and they take out a certain amount of money, some people are like, well, you wouldn't notice that anyway. But I do notice it, right? It's like if you don't notice if a girl is cheating. But no, I saw her. She was with the guy. Same thing. I don't like it. So if I don't like it and you're like, oh, well, look at all the people that's hurting. I wouldn't cancel a friend because at the end of the day, I know for sure, I just don't care. So
Not
if
gonna
you,
affect me.
so if 50 people don't get hospital care and they pass out for drinking on the corner, that's their problem. I don't
So
care.
then when
It's
it's
not
so
affecting my surroundings, my immediate.
so it doesn't
So I
affect
wouldn't
your
cancel
surroundings.
friendship. So I wouldn't
So it
cancel.
doesn't affect your surroundings. Does it affect your surroundings?
But
Your people being extremely partisan.
I mean, it don't affect anything because I know where I stand. So I don't like I said, your belief is what you believe. I believe what I believe, and like I said, me.
But it cancels friendships for
It
you.
cancels-
Personal friendships,
But
no.
not
Potential work friendships,
yes, that's
if
what I'm
those
saying.
are like-
Personal,
Oh.
personal
How?
friendships. It
A
don't,
potential.
Because all of y'all are my boys. Like, we're never going to get into an argument about politics where we're going to split.
Nah, that's
and be
not
so
gonna
divisive.
happen.
What you
that
do
we're
on
not
the
gonna
weekend, I don't care. If you went
That's
to
what we're
a
saying.
rally, I don't care.
But if you would
If
have
you
had
went
the
to a
discussion at
protest,
Depends
I
on
don't
what
care.
rally.
I'm telling you, I don't care.
Can't be at a KKK
But if you have
rally.
the discussion at work with
How
people
fast
who are
can you
not
drive?
privy to your experience,
That's all I care about.
then you could potentially lead into a
No,
very.
but I don't think personal. No, I think as far as work related.
So that's what I was saying. This is
No,
why.
So,
but-
so not friendships, actual associates.
So-
You guys
yeah,
are saying
But
like
your ideologies, I'm saying, are personal. So if you say, "Yo, I'm voting Democrat because of this," then it's like, damn, you brought that into the office, and now everybody's going to contest and tell you what their personal beliefs are. That leads to argument because, again, there's no facts. This is what you think. This is what I think. This is what you think. This is what you think, and nobody can say that either is right or wrong. It's just going to be continued argument. So
Yeah,
that
continued
could
debate.
lead to disruption somewhere.
we bang that topic out
I like
pretty
it.
hard. But that kind of leads into our next topic. All right, don't be mad. UPS is hiring jobs for the people. What's an acceptable job? And I'm gonna go to you on this one, Biga. But kind of tell me the angle that you're going on this one right here. And which community are you talking about?
Hours. Can I just say hours and
Go
not
for
be
it.
exclusive?
I live in a different community. My hours is different.
Okay.
You're a black man.
I said 10,000. That was just for my house.
Yeah. He talking about he got multiple houses. He talking about
That was the first
Yeah,
one.
the first one. That's the first house.
No, it's a bunch of jobs that I'm not doing that. I don't get paid to do that. That's beneath me. You know, we find ourselves doing a bunch of. We just find ourselves doing and excluding ourselves from a bunch of jobs. Like you could find us in a bunch of little places, like security, home health aid, nursing, like in like mechanics or small pieces and very small pieces you can find us. But you got what's that? Ben Carson. He's a surgeon. You know what I mean? Like, if you go out there, I don't think that there is no limitation to what you actually can be and do. But we have this stigma about, oh, look at him. He walking around here thinking he's somebody because he the manager at McDonald's. What's wrong with being a manager at McDonald's?
It's nothing.
Yeah, but we shame our friends for
What you
it.
got?
Like you said, even like to be the manager at McDonald's, that's just people just not understanding what being a manager and how much a manager at McDonald's make.
Nah, I'm not talking about the money.
But I'm saying, this is what I'm saying, because if you understood money and you understood the value of money, him being a manager at McDonald's, he could be making anywhere between 80 to 100,000 a year. So if you want to knock a person from being a manager at McDonald's, who are you? If you ain't making that, you
What-
understand? So
what if it's
I just feel
McDowell's.
I feel like for me personally, if you wanna knock somebody for what they do, you can't be sitting here if you're not on that level of making nothing better than them. Not you can't even knock somebody if they're making less than you. But you can't talk about somebody if they providing for their family, doing something that's not robbing or killing somebody to take away from somebody. Let them be.
So am
don't
I
care.
wrong? Do they not do it?
But I'm saying we do it because that's in our community. That's what
No,
we
what I'm
do.
saying is, but we do it, right? We
Like,
do shun certain.
Dave Chappelle did a
Yeah.
sketch on that. Remember we used to watch it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Oh look, you going? Oh, you're working at Whack Arnold's.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we get
Yeah,
that. We
yeah.
get that. I get it.
Whack
Yeah.
Arnold's.
Yeah, Whack
What you
Arnold's.
got,
You know
Mike?
what I mean?
I was gonna say, I think that legally, I don't think if there's any legal profession, I don't think that is unacceptable as a job. Now there are circumstantial jobs where I've personally probably chimed in and said, "Damn, this dude has 5 children, and he's taking the bare minimum as a minimum wage worker. If he has no anticipation of actually going out and making something better and bringing more home, then that's potentially a judgy situation. But
Wow.
let me say, hold on. If what he's doing is financially supporting his family and they're not in eating ramen noodles for dinner and just barely getting by, then it's acceptable. But if your family is on bare minimum, barely eating, barely got clothes on their back, and you're comfortable just going clocking in for 4 hours at minimum wage, then I think that's unacceptable based on circumstance. But if you're 15 years old and you're a young man that just wants to buy jeans, absolutely, McDonald's is for you. If you have no children, McDonald's is for you. But if you got 9 kids and they can't all eat off that one check, then I think it's
They deserve a little bit of shame.
I think that's
Not
unacceptable
shame.
for you
But
not to
that's the
try and
point.
It's
improve.
not about shame and shame. They deserve more attention to what you're doing with your life. That's pretty much what it is.
But
If-
why does anybody deserve any attention to what you're
No,
doing in your life?
Because you
I'm
got
just
9
saying-
kids.
The kids deserve more.
Let's not be extreme. I'm just saying,
No,
like,
two kids.
I'm a-
If
like
you-
not
if you-
just going to.
Hold on. Let me say this. I'll even take that extreme a little bit further, and this is where my extremism comes in right here, right? You shouldn't be an adult unless you just got out of prison working at McDonald's full time. You shouldn't, because it's not a career; it's a job to have. So jobs are acceptable to a degree, but when
Don't
you
say
find
that,
comfort,
because you could work your way up and you
Yeah,
can wind up
managers
with
make
men's
money. He was
Yeah.
saying they make money. That could be a career.
you shouldn't be a cashier
Yeah.
at
Well, that's what
McDonald's.
we saying,
It should be
minimum
4
wage.
years later.
No part-time.
I'm getting my burgers in my bag from you. I'm not knocking the
Fried
job
certificate.
itself. I'm saying if you are a law-abiding citizen and you have all your limbs work and you have a functioning brain, you should be able to use those jobs, like y'all said, as a stepping stone. Yes, you should get shamed and you should get shunned for working jobs you're taking jobs from youths. There's a 14-year-old, 15-year-old kid who probably want to buy some sneakers, but now you taking his sneaker money, or because you're too lazy to go out and fill out an application to do something else. Yes,
not just that.
McDonald's, because McDonald's is a good place. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about other places. You could be working at Dunkin' Donuts. You could be working at any kind of place that's a minimum wage job. People talk about raising minimum wage. How about you get a new job that does something more functional than work? I'm a cashier for 4 or 5 years.
That's what I mean,
Because
circumstantial.
You
because
should be shamed by that. Shame on you. Shame.
why?
Again,
Everybody
it's
should want-
circumstantial. So if your money is not providing enough for your family to actually live comfortably, then you should feel shame for that. You're saying like, yo, it's a job. But if your job is bringing home enough money for you to eat ramen noodles and Pepsi every day,
You gotta
instead
step
of-
your grind up.
Yeah,
You gotta step your grind up.
And like you said, it could be a stepping stone. But if your intention is to always just be placated at being the bare minimum, and you act like you have no responsibilities beyond just going to work, clocking in, and flipping fries, or again, it could be
Me
any
like
job.
most people.
And clogging up the hospital.
But that's the way. That's the way.
Because drinking Pepsi and drinking ramen noodles.
I know that it's
tear your
easier.
system up.
I know it's easier to
Intestines.
just. I know it's easier now to just switch jobs or like go into new fields. But traditionally, you worked at the mill till it was over.
Yeah, but you
It's a
provided a
career.
home and
That's
a
Stop.
No,
it's,
no,
a,
no.
stop. It's a career. It's a
Yeah.
difference between working
It's
at
what's available.
and you could
It-
afford to feed your family and have
no,
a
no,
house.
no. What I'm saying is this: from the dawn of time, you go and you wield the hammer. You wield the hammer. You one of those guys who do that your entire life.
And you had
look at
healthcare,
them.
and you had
no.
different
What I'm saying
benefits.
is, no. If you are just someone who works iron, that's all you've ever done, or you work on the farm, you cannot. Is that a shameful job?
Nobody shamed anybody
we're
for
not
that.
saying
What I'm saying is, so then why are there jobs that are cool and not cool in our
Can we just
community?
explain it?
Why do we
Circumstance.
do that to ourselves?
Based on circumstance.
Because we're shaming people into being better? Or are
Yes.
we just
That's not
shaming people?
shameful.
Because people are not changing. People are still sitting in those same jobs.
so we could judge them. We could judge them.
It's like this.
And
I'm
say
tell you
what?
It's,
And
it's,
judge
and
them.
I would say,
ban them from
no, you
what?
could judge
That's
them.
what we're talking about right now.
Because if you go out here and you go to Canal Street or you go to one of these areas and you buy 4 or 5 pair of bootleg sneakers for $20, then you could have just saved them and bought you a pair of quality sneakers and wore them and not messed them up.
But
so I have the right to say, yeah,
for-
Jordan got his arms like this instead of like this. I can do that to you at that point, because if you didn't want to play that game, there's other things that you could have went. You could have went another avenue, but no, you want to take the cheap route, right? You could have said, hey, I want to get some the Vans. I could have got any kind of sneakers that's cost efficient, but no, you want to aim high. You're going to spend the money to do whatever it is to do on a lower level, and
But a
that's what it is
person
with
who's
a job.
been 17 years at the same position is not somebody who's aiming high. There's not somebody who's got on fake sneakers.
Who has on a
It's
career.
not. It's a person with work boots on. It's a person with two pairs of pants
co-
who learned how to live his life based on happiness and not
Well,
based
that
on
goes back to what he
that's
said.
circumstance.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Why is it okay that job is shameful? Like,
Nobody
yeah,
ever shamed
shame
that.
him.
Nobody's ever shamed that person.
No, you shame the profession. So whoever works that profession,
No.
you're taking away jobs from younger
No.
people. Is what you said.
If you're
wasn't
working at places that are not careers, I'm talking about. He's
He's talking about like I got two pair of pants. I got a pair of work boots. These are non-slip resistant. These been making it through 7 years of like hard work, and I love these shoes. I'll get a new pair once these break. Once these absolutely done.
You making that how can I say a personal appearance thing.
That's honorable.
That's how you want to be. That's your appearance of how you want to be. Not everybody wants to be that way, but that's cool.
No,
if you want to be that way. You say you one pair of pants, one pair of boots, two pair of pants. You regular. That's
me
fine.
ask you this. If a
you
dude
may not
got-
be into style, but that's cool. But as long as your job
Hold on,
that you're doing is going to proceed to you being able
Let me
to
ask
take
you
care
yes
of
or
your
no.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Mike throw a
Quick
yes
yes or no
quick.
question. If a man has, let's just say 3 kids, because that's not abnormal. He works at McDonald's. He makes $200 a week. Is that acceptable
Yeah.
for his 3 kids?
No.
Why not?
It's not sufficient.
That's what we're saying.
It's not sufficient. But sometimes
But if
working
that was the
jobs.
If he
your
just came
kid.
home, but if he just came home and went back and forth and he didn't bother nobody and lived his life, nobody would be like, "Oh, that's."
Or
10 years,
if he was 21 and had no kids and he made $200 a week, that's acceptable because you have no responsibility. But if you have 3 kids you have to provide for and you're
So-
taking the bare minimum, that's not acceptable.
But what you're taking is you're trying to make individual stories and make them into what the narrative could be. But what I'm talking about is there are cool jobs and there are uncool jobs.
based off circumstances. So yes, your answer is right based off circumstances. So my answer to that is yes, it should be that way. I don't know how anybody else feels. I feel like based off your circumstance. If you have a circumstance where you have responsibility, I get to clown you because you didn't take care of your responsibility.
So I get to
We
clown
come
you.
back to
He
it.
said, "Homie, the guy
Nah, homie, don't play that.
Play that.
All right.
chip my burger."
Fucking bum.
Come on, man.
Dirty Mike and the boys. All right.
And don't spit on my fries.
Hurry up, Calvin.
That's the first thing you getting.
Last topic of the
Ass.
day. Last topic of the day. Who ain't got no trauma? The lasting effects of traumatic experience. Stu, I'm gonna throw this one to you. You guide us into the light, brother.
I'm gonna try to do the best I can with this one, but for me personally, traumas is when you're young, you don't want to expect.
Before you go into it, my brother, let me pose the question to you a little bit better.
Okay.
How does childhood trauma affect people? How does it affect people? And if you want to give an example of yourself, do so as well. I'm sorry.
It affects you deeply. You know, childhood trauma helps you develop into. It doesn't help. It helps or it can hinder you in your development as an adult, because those childhood traumas carry with you through your life. So you know, even for me personally, like, my mom's wasn't there. She was fighting her demons or whatever the case may be. My father wasn't there either. So I was raised by my grandparents. So for me, as when I look back at my youthfulness, I remember used to go to his house, you know, and he was a little bit of an asshole, but he had all the toys. You know what I mean? So I was like, you know, fuck it. I go over there. You know, I deal with his nonsense, but I get to play with his toys, and he had his mom and his father's there. You know what I mean? Me, I had my grandparents who raised me. So they're a little bit outdated when it came to certain things. So I didn't get the luxury of being the kid that, oh, I get the toys, to get the new toys, or for Christmas time comes, you know, Eric and, you know, my cousins upstairs, when they father, they had all the Legos and everything like that. So for me, it played a real hindering part for me, because like that, I didn't have not one. You know what I mean? So as you get older, you know, it bothers you because you feel like, who's loving me? Why I wasn't worthy of the love that everybody else had. You know what I mean? As far as that goes. And then, you know, luckily I had my grandma there, that she was, you know, my guardian angel to, you know, to protect me and to keep me grounded and, you know, sane when that time was coming. So then now you go fast forward. Like I said, my father wasn't there when I was younger. I think I had like one good summer with him. And then the only reason why I felt like I even knew him during that summer is the fact that I seen him taking his other kids to school. And we all went to the same school. So when you go there and you see your father that lived around the corner from you taking his other kids to school, and he not even coming to do that to you, that bothers you. That makes you be like, Dad, like, am I
Yeah, I
worthy?
thought you wasn't taking no. I thought you wasn't worthy of taking people to school, but you take other people to school. Take me, yeah.
And that hit you in a different light, and then, so now I had the ability to, I had a coping mechanism that you tend to create for yourself, as where it's like, okay, I know my mom's wasn't there for me, I know my father wasn't there for me, and they brought me into this world, so I know as far as anybody else, I can't expect nothing from them, And then we going to fast forward. I got, when I thought like I had it down pat, I was like, yo, God, you playing a crazy trick on me today. I'm going to school and taking a ferry. I see my father, and I lock eyes with him. And I want to say this first, because I have brothers and sisters. They had a better relationship with him than I did, and I don't want to knock their hero or the person that they look in high regard or anything like that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just sharing my traumas from when I was younger. And getting back to the story, you lock eyes and he look at you and he don't even know you his son. So that's like an effect, like not only did it happen once, because I could, say, oh, that wasn't him. I could, like that was a mirage. I wanted to see him. That I made myself think that was him. Mm-hmm. But when it happens multiple times and you're like, dang, you really just don't know who I am.
Yeah, you can't dismiss it.
You can't dismiss it, and it bothers you. And then the people around you, the person that I felt that showed me nothing but love, that had my back 110%, she was like, I told her that she had no answers for me, nothing to say. And or she could look at me in despair, like, I don't know what to tell you right now. Because I didn't tell her the initial time it happened. I told her like 2 or 3 times after that. And I'm just like, yo, you know what? I was trying to hold it in. I can't hold it in no more. I'm going to tell you. I have to share it with you. And she don't have an answer for it. And it's like, where do you go? Where do you put yourself mentally, and where you put your heart at? And I realize in life, when you go through traumas, two things going to happen. It's going to make you or it's going to break you. But one thing for sure, it's going to hurt you. And now to get over that hurt, I can't tell nobody how to do it or what avenues to take with it. But it's difficult. And it really affects you as you get older in life and how you cope with certain people in certain situations.
I told you, B. Childhood traumas. How does childhood trauma affect people?
Thanks. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to just move on like, thanks. So.
Thanks for all the toys, or thanks for what you said?
He gave him back.
I ain't stealing my plate.
I said you gave him back.
You know what I mean? I just said help him clean them up at the end. That's all.
But I always wondered, like, who had it better, like someone with a father or someone who had a father who was inconsistent, or, inconsistent, or just unaware, like you said, like that unaware of you type person. Is that better? Is it better to have those moments where you saw your father and your lineage at the ferry, or is it better to have not seen him at all?
For me personally, I would say not seen him at all.
I got a story like that.
You know what I mean? Because to me, I could make up anything in my head. That's what I've been doing all my life. You know what I mean? Especially as a young kid, you had to figure it out. So when you had to figure it out,
you make excuses
you
for
make
him.
excuses.
Like, he's busy, he can't come around, he got to go to work, and this, that, and the third.
And it helps you get through, you know what I mean? And I felt like as a young kid, I have to think more of an adult, and have an adult mind. You know what I mean? Because as a young kid, you don't have, what you want to do is play, have fun, be with your friends, play video games, go to the park, have a childhood. You're not, as a young kid, want to deal with, all right, how can I psych myself out when it comes to these situations? Mm-hmm. And that for me was the hardest thing for me to ever do.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to calculate experiences as far as like trauma, because it all hurts, right? Like I have like it all hurts. Like the childhood crush hurts. I'm not saying I don't want to add any more or less value or make something sound trivial, right? But
My view and perspective is that childhood trauma or early trauma or trauma in general, I think it starts, and I'll speak specifically to being young. I think it starts your path in life as soon as you hit that traumatic experience, or even lack of traumatic experience. If you were somebody who was fostered in an environment that was completely risk free, you didn't have any issues or any problems, your life direction and path is going to be somewhat defined for you already. But if you're somebody that's experienced, again, potential lack of a father or a family environment that is not beneficial or is not conducive to raising children, that sets you on a path immediately. Like, I don't like this shit. I'm 6, 7 years old. I don't like living with roaches and rats. I don't like walking up to the damn sixth floor. Like, it gives you a base and a foundation of sometimes what you want to do and sometimes the things you want to avoid in life. So if you have those traumatic experiences really early on, and one I could speak to myself was my father was there my entire life, but there was periods where he would be incarcerated for years on end, and not gonna say years on end, but for years at a time. And me growing up in the hood as a young boy that feels kind of like he had everything, or at least everything I asked for within limitation of where I was. To always have that, and then at the drop of a hat could be all ripped away. And now we're moving from, me and my brother having twin bunk beds with all the damn toys to now we're sleeping in my grandmother's living room with my other cousin. You know what I mean? Like, those kind of traumatic experiences put something in your head where you said, like, never again. I'm not going to allow this shit to happen when I get older for my kids to say that I don't want to be here or I don't want to be in this kind of environment. And another one that really affected me when I was young was uh, my grandfather on my father's side was there, super granddad, like the one you see on TV and you want to be your grandfather. But the other one lived literally around the corner from my elementary school, and I never saw him ever. He knew where we lived. He would come. I lived right off the highway at the first light, right off the highway. He would come off the highway. He would pull up in his pickup truck. He would hit the horn, and if we looked out the window, he'd do this. He'd throw up 2 fingers. I never seen this man's face, but for years I would do the same thing. Oh, he's got something to do. He's on his way to work. Look at him. He's he's in a rush. Um, and just I made him a mystery figure because I didn't want to see that man that continuously avoided me and my brother and my cousin and my mom and her twin sister. Like, these are your children, but you live around the corner. It's not like he's like, yo, he down south and you get to see him for 1 week every year and you don't have a relationship. Nah, that's somebody who, in my mind, created a traumatic experience where I don't want my daughter to ever have that. I don't want her to not have a grandfather. I don't want children around me to be fostered in an environment where they feel like, again, people don't want them. So if you're bringing children, grandchildren, or family you have in this world that you somewhat owe an obligation to, know that your actions or inactions can really affect somebody from very, very young. Your turn, brother.
It's funny, before we came here, I had all these different thoughts in my mind, like how I was going to tackle this topic. So I'll say generally, like the traumas that when you get older, it's funny hearing all these stories from you guys. Like, and I know Steve my whole life. So to hear his story was new to me. We never even got that deep to have that kind of conversation. So I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. But you learn so much from these people being friends with some females, how they were molested. There was a lot of that going on when we were younger that we ignore now. These mystery children we know probably came from an uncle or something like that. And it's unfortunate we don't talk about these things because, like right now, this is our therapy right now. This is real life therapy. These conversations that we have, hopefully, whoever's out there listening to 4400, they're going to say, they could talk about these traumas, maybe not with everybody, with somebody. But I'll tap into my trauma, or what I consider my trauma. Fortunately, I had a father and a mother for a while. And like you said, when I was a kid, I just played, right? I had 7 brothers and sisters. So we played. I didn't think nothing of the world. I didn't think nothing of anything. I just played. Maybe till I was like 8 or 9 and my mom got sick with cancer. She died. In that moment, I grew up as a man because
Take your time.
I grew up as a man because having brothers and sisters didn't work for me. So I found brothers. And I feel like what you guys said, how you created a scenario. Like everybody was, like your father was busy or your grandfather was busy. I made something up in my mind like everybody's living, and that wasn't it. When you grow up, you create this shell. It's like I said the last episode, it becomes a real thing where you just become hard and you can't take that off. Your petty goes deep. It's a real situation where you can't turn back the hand of time and say, I'm gonna be somebody else. That ain't it. That's the way I'm always gonna prevail. I'm always gonna have a brother. I'm always gonna make sure my kids, they feel a way. I'm gonna make sure if somebody feel a way that I'm close to, that they know I got you. My tears today are not just because of my siblings I'm not pointing out any of them. I'm just saying every one of them. I had a father, but I had 3 brothers. They ain't helped me be a man. There's a lot of shit I had to do that I probably shouldn't have done as a teen. I shouldn't have had to see. We talk about sex and all this other stuff. We learned that together.
Bro.
We learned that stuff. And it was, again, like I said, my tears are not because of my stories, because I'm holding all y'all stories. I didn't know that about you, Stu. I didn't know you felt like that, you know? And we grew up being the same way because, again, like you just make up a story in your head. Like, they busy, you know? They got their own life. They got whatever. That ain't it, bro. You can't treat people like that because the traumatic experiences, we treat people the way we treat them. Then they want to know, yo, Stu, why you ain't call back, or why you ain't do this, why you ain't loan me that, why you so cutthroat, yo, Kush, why you like that? You'll be like, I'm like that because y'all made me like that. And then you want to tell me, or you want to ask me, yo, you didn't call me, yo, you didn't text me. Call you for what? I ain't gonna front. Some of them may die one day. I ain't gonna be there. I won't show up. That's who they created, though. It's not because I'm mad at you. It's because that's who you created. You created me into that person that won't be at your funeral.
That's the other thing, is that traumatic experience doesn't have to happen once. It could be progressive. It could be something. It could be a lack of, again, just any kind of engagement or any kind of. If you have a lack of love, it doesn't have to come from one event. It doesn't have to be somebody walking out of the house. It doesn't have to be, somebody passing away. It could be these segments of events that have just led up to a point in your life where you break. And a lot of times for us as men, we break internally. Again, I haven't heard these stories. I know some of your story, but to hear that shit means that we've all sat through hundreds of conversations together where we've avoided talking about this shit. We had to set up cameras for us to actually get therapy.
Yeah.
I've never had these conversations with my brothers.
Like, and then the crazy thing about it is, like, I work all over, with my field, so they send me different places. And sometimes people be like, yo, you driving mad far, bro. But to me personally, I like that time when I'm getting up at 3:30, be on the road about 4:30, 4:15, driving 2 hours, 2.5 hours to go to work, because I get my tears out.
Mm-hmm. You get to think about
I get all my thoughts out. So during that course of that time, it's like whatever's burdening me during that period, I get to get it out. And then I get to go to work, act like I'm Mr. Macho Man, this guy Stewart, you know what I mean? Do what I gotta do, go home. And then I get to, self-reflect again. And then I could go coincide with the real world, because you need that, you know?
And this is why I was looking at it from being a parent now. Like, not that you have to make up stories, right? Anymore. Now that you're an adult and you can do the math on who your parents were, what they, like, how did that relationship probably look? I know the answer, because the answer for all of us is there is no reason But a person who's never had an opportunity to set up cameras like our parents, who never had an opportunity to step inside a therapist's office and say, yo, I don't like what I've been going through. You don't think now that there's some sort of like understanding that could happen with those people around you who are just making life decisions that we're all making?
No.
I know, right?
I know the flip side to that.
Let me
Go
say
ahead,
let
go
me
ahead.
say this real quick. Right?
I know.
I don't
The
even
answer's always no with us, and that's the crazy
you know
part.
What it is? I don't even talk to my mother to this day. You know why? Because ever since we were young, she picked everybody over me, and even to this day, she does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a grown man. I'm about to be 40 years old this year.
If
I don't have the time, if I'm having my own family, to try to help you mend what we got.
I'm not trying to convince you of anything other than what you're saying. I hear you. You're right. That is the way. But now your answer is, I will do and be better. You don't think?
To.
Yeah.
I have to. I'm raising two
But
girls.
doesn't that mean that our generation before us was weaker?
It was.
Because they gave up.
I think
It says that, like, when I think about my father being
let me tell you one,
2 blocks away.
I don't want to cut you off, Bigger. I just want to say this. I think our generation of parents that we had, a majority of them was raised by the grandparents. That was the last breed of real grandparents that we really had in our generation.
But that's why we have to be here every day. But those guys somehow, some way was able to say, I'm not coming back. I don't know what that mind had to deal with in order to make that decision.
You got more than right?
Just to finish that off, and again, I think we take these characters and we, rightfully so, make them the villain in our story because, again, I've offered it to myself to think like, damn, yo, you know what, that man, in terms of my grandfather, he has a story. I don't know that story. What I know is my story, looking at him drive by. Is there a reason? Did something happen long ago where he feels like he's not welcome here? So again, I try to fill in those blanks myself, not knowing, and try and offer up a out for those people that created these traumatic experiences. Because again, you don't want to accept the fact that somebody just doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Somebody does not care enough about you.
But you have to.
So I'm gonna say this so we can close this one out. So for everybody out there, all the experiences that we talked about, like you said, with your mom, you know, everybody, your dad, my siblings. This is not to be like this is not meant for a badgering or we're not trying to attack anybody. No. These topics right here was our free therapy for the day with each other. And also just for you guys out there to understand that, you know, everybody go through their own traumas and stuff like that. So this wraps up the second one.
You can have these conversations with people in your home, then do so, because I feel like shit in the last 15, 20 minutes of that topic, honestly I feel better. I feel like this is something that we can take beyond.
I might cry in the next episode too. I might still be crying.
Whoever buying lunch will have a high ass meal. You can cry later.
I'm about to cry again. All right.
I like it. Good one, fellas.
Yeah.
Pound the potato. My hands are wet.
Yeah.